afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar hosted by Information Security Media Group and sponsored by Sify Technologies. I am Prajit Nair, Senior Associate Editor at ISMG, and I'll be your moderator for this webinar. Our topic today is central to every enterprise that is charting its digital future: AI at scale, blueprint for cloud innovation in BFSI. Most organizations are still in the early stages of defining AI strategies, use cases, and deployment models that align with industry-specific needs, data sensitivity, and regulatory frameworks. We will be focusing on how organizations can build and deploy AI solutions, design AI-ready cloud architecture, address governance and cost, explore agentic AI, and finally, real-world use cases that are already delivering business impact. I am pleased to introduce two prominent speakers: Pramod Bhandiwad, Head AI and Software Development, Sify Technologies Limited, and Vaibhav Shirsagar, Regional Business Head, Cloud and IT Managed Services, Sify Technologies Limited. To all the attendees, again, there is a chat box. Kindly drop your questions and the SMEs will get back to you.
Actually,
Sorry. Yeah. Before we begin our presentation, I would request my host, Sakrita, can we have our first poll question for all the members here? Yeah. All the attendees, I would request you all to please post your vote. The first question is, where is your organization in its AI adoption journey? Just exploring use cases, piloting AI models, scaling in production, not started yet. Do we have all the votes, Sakrita?
We'll just give it for another 30 seconds.
Sure. All the attendees, I request you all to please post your vote on the poll that should have popped up on your screen right now. Okay, just exploring use cases gets 47% of the vote. Piloting AI models. That's a good start. That's a good start for our session. Now, I would hand over the session to Vaibhav Shirsagar, Regional Business Head, Cloud and IT Managed Service at Sify Technologies, take us through his presentation. Vaibhav, all yours.
Thank you. Thanks, Prajit. I think a warm welcome to everybody, especially from Mumbai and Bangalore, for such a beautiful weather that we have today. I think a warm welcome is certainly much required. Right, and good to see the poll where the results, where it shows that the interest is more on exploring and understanding different use cases. I think that's a good start to have, because the early that you are into the game, the early that you know how to use it. So with that, let me start my presentation. We just give you a quick walkthrough as to what are the different perspectives that we can look at, especially from the banking fraternity. If I have to summarize from the different conversations that we had, and again, not just in present, also from the past, the priorities within the BFSI segment has been more or less similar, but the priorities in terms of the execution has got changed over a period of time. And today, when we talk about data proliferation, data security has become one of the most important, I should say, sorry, is there anything? Okay. I think data security and governance has become the center stage of the conversation, because every discussion that starts has to be first thought through from the lens of security. And to add to that, the regulatory and compliances, the regulators themselves have really raised up the bar, raised the ante, where they are defining what are the security controls which has to be put in as for a cloud service provider, for an application service provider, as well as for the regulated entities. Now, having said that, all these controls and security governance has to be across different architecture. So hybrid has been the, I should say, the experience for last couple of years, because gone are the days when it has to be only single location or single solution centric kind of a deployment. Right, from co-location, it has moved to cloud, and within cloud also there are different architectures. There is legacy application, there are microservice-based architectures deployed across different cloud service providers. Now, having said, while technology adoption is at the core, the cost is also something which the CFO has to look at, right? Because there are limited budgets within which you have to meet your business requirements, right? Having said that, while along with cost, there is business agility. For data decision making, you need to have analytics and AI embedded so that you're able to take faster decision, understand your consumer needs, what are their pulse, and accordingly create your product portfolio and services which can go to the market faster. All that with the flexibility of cloud, because we all have seen during the COVID days how things changed dramatically from a point where it felt okay, we may not need technology to the extent what we thought through, but within few weeks and months, the entire explosion of the technology adoption was really phenomenal, right? So these are priorities, not necessarily in the same flow. However, while security remains the first priority, these priorities are like a single lens from which all these has to be met, right? So if you look at the journey that has been, when you talk about cloud, there was a time when journey to cloud was the talking point. It was the boardroom discussion. It is a past. What we are currently talking is journey either in cloud or to modernize it. Right? When we say journey in cloud, I don't think there's anybody who is left who has not moved to cloud, because they have prioritized their workloads. They have identified which are the ones to be taken to cloud. There are certain legacy applications. There are customer facing applications which needs to be more agile, which has already moved on to cloud. However, today, what are the priorities and challenges which needs to get addressed? As I said earlier, security, because you're dealing with customer data, you're dealing with financial data, you're looking at different policies that are coming into implementation, which is your PII, DPDP Act. So all that keeping in mind, along with the controls, security remains the first priority and a challenge that needs to get addressed on daily basis, because the challenges are changing every day, right? Build shocks is to keep your cost in control. When you're moving on to cloud, you also have to be privy of the fact that you can't be overspending. It has to really justify to the investment and the ROI, and obviously along with that is a customer experience. Governance is end to end, not just on one single element. You need to have a complete governance framework so that you are not missing out on any of the element which is really required to run your business smoothly. Moving on from journey in cloud, you have to modernize it. Now, modernizing does not just mean your application modernization. Today, you're looking at AI deployment. You're looking at integrating your data sources. You're looking at integrating with your ISV ecosystem or your partner ecosystem, right? How do you modernize it along with automation? Automation is to make your journey faster, to reach your customer more seamlessly, so that your turnaround time is as near as real time. And with a architecture wherein you have full control with the tweaks, where you don't have to take a downtime with a microservice-based architecture. Cost control, no matter whether you are in cloud or in your modernization phase, cost control certainly remains one of the priority that cannot be overlooked. So where does really Sify as a service provider comes into this entire conversation? Now, as a 25 years old organization who started along with network really remains our backbone across India, where we have our own landing station. Okay, we have built data centers which is certified by NVIDIA to host AI workloads. We have our own cloud nodes. We have 14 data centers which are ready to be served, along with an expansion plan with 26 edge nodes. So the beauty is, along with network and the infrastructure, you are able to reach your customers to the nearest location with the lowest latency, almost at a sub-millisecond kind of latency. So what we have built over a period of time is, in addition to the core infrastructure, which is your network and data center, we have built services, the digital enabler services, which is our own cloud services, our own cloud node, which is across different seismic zones, along with the AZs. So Mumbai and Bangalore remains our two different location nodes where we are able to offer cloud services, where we are able to offer complete infrastructure as a service, starting from general purpose VMs, single tenant nodes, bare metal as a service, and added to that is GPU as a service with H100s, L40s, which is ready to consume. And this is constantly growing. So we haven't stopped ourselves. We are constantly growing. We are building platform services, which is enabling our customers to consume it so that their journey becomes much more easier. Going beyond that, we have completely built a PaaS service. So for your microservice-based application architecture, we have built Kubernetes services, container services, entire DevOps support, along with database as a service, caching, queuing as a service, migration as well as DR as a service. So here the beauty is all our customers are able to consume these services on a consumption model. Rather than making a heavy capex kind of investment, this is your business growth. Okay, you're able to consume the service as and when required. And at the center stage remains complete security services portfolio, starting with the network services to perimeter security services, as well as on your infrastructure level services for security. And all this are as per the guidance and controls defined under different ISO standards. We are SOC 2 certified, which means all our data centers and the entire cloud platform is certified under the SOC 2 certification. PCI DSS to meet all the payment gateways compliances as per NPCI. Now, while the infrastructure and the platform services, and along with that is complemented with security services, we have also extended our portfolio of platform into the AI, which we're also going to talk in the consecutive slides, where we have created blueprints for AI consumption. Because today, most of the, and I really relate to those poll question where customers are really looking at what are the use cases, how do we deploy? Because the what and how is a question that is most of the customers are asking. So what we have created is a blueprint where our BFSI, and these blueprints are very specific to BFSI customers that can be consumed easily, so that you are able to bring your own LLMs, so that you are able to select specific use case, deploy it faster, okay, and check whether these are making business relevance, and then take it further towards production. Before preaching, we have started practicing incorporating AI ops into our own governance structure, into our own operation structure, where we have seen ourselves the benefits. So it's not about just trying to position something off the shelf, but we have first practiced internally and we are taking it to the customers. If you look on the right hand side of the map, where you see the hyperscaler, because most of these hyperscalers are hosted within Sify's data centers across different locations. And to give a layer of entire manageability, we have created our own CMP, which is our own cloud management portal. How it helps is, it aligns with your hybrid deployment philosophy. We know that you are not going to deploy only in a specific cloud service provider's environment. You are going to be across different locations because you want to reap the benefits what each of them is able to provide. We are able to give you a single pane of glass where you're able to control, manage your entire environment. It could be anywhere. It could be on Sify, it could be on any of the hyperscaler. You get a single pane of glass view to control and manage your entire cloud environment. Now, a story without FinOps is going to be incomplete, because as we spoke about the cost management. Now, FinOps is not just about cost management. It's about also budgeting. It's about chargeback. It's about understanding granularly where is your budget getting spent, how can you put some guardrails around it and then control it? It also gives you a view, as you can see, which element within your service consumption is consuming what amount of your budget, so that you get to intuitively able to take a decision which are the elements where you can control and which is the element where you need to spend more. So we have built in those services so that our customers are able to modularly select it. All this is completely backed with a professional services, starting from advisory, which means from the day zero phase, we engage with our customers, understand the current landscape. We understand what is the roadmap that they have for next 5 years, create a blueprint of plan, how they can really start migrating or deploying. It could be greenfield or could be a brownfield. We engage into day one, which is the entire development, the deployment phase and the operation phase. So Sify becomes a single service provider, right from assessment and consulting to deployment to operations. We just don't provide the underlying platform, but we also do the entire managed services across different solution components that you can see. It could be right from compute, it could be firewall, it could be a DevOps, a storage, security. So all these, we will support our customers in the entire journey as a digital owner, as a digital enabler for our customers. And we provide this end-to-end services in a bespoke fashion. So it could be from a shared pool, it could be from a hybrid pool, or it can be a complete dedicated team. So basis what the customer's requirement could be, we're absolutely agile and we have delivered to multiple customers to suit the requirement. Infinite AI platform is something which we have created. I would request Pramod to add onto this. How does it really help to our customers from a BFSI perspective?
Yeah, sure. So, so I think the thought process of creating an AI platform is to ensure that we enable rapid experimentation, like the polls suggest, right? We are all dabbling with multiple use cases. We're trying to figure out which of my use cases will deliver a better ROI for me, and how do I prioritize? How do I ensure that I deploy a use case without locking myself to a specific vendor? How do I deploy a use case where my costs are controlled? And how do I rapidly build use cases by using ready-made, blueprints, that what we call blueprints are nothing but an agentic workflow or a verticalized solution with AI embedded that is stitched together to solve a specific problem. For example, a BFSI use case could be to do triaging of, let's say, a settlement, right? Or a fraud detection, or a simple KYC, stuff like that. Even for manufacturing, it could be quality control. So all of those need not necessarily be developed from scratch, right? There are stuff that is already available. What we are seeking is for our consumers to just focus on the core business problem rather than trying to stitch together different elements and do that experimentation. We want them to focus on the core business problem and then get that deployed deterministically, irrespective of what the platform is, have access to different types of GPUs, have access to different types of runtimes, inference engines, at the same time ensuring that there is security built in, there is guardrails applied, having visibility to where personal data is getting leaked, all of that, right? So this everything needs to be thought through when we are deploying an AI use case, and that's something we have inculcated into our platform. Vaibhav.
Thanks, Pramod. Thanks for adding to that. So that so you heard from Pramod. So what we have now, these blueprints are something where we have made our hands a little dirty to make it for you to consume faster. So that these are use cases where you don't experiment much. When I say you don't experiment, that means don't spend time on experimenting. You can experiment on the specific data, start checking it, see the outcomes. It needs to be fine-tuned. It can be done that faster. So what it really helps is to is how can you go faster to the market? Okay, and what we have seen it is really almost 60% faster deployment, keeping all the compliance and the regulatory controls intact. Okay, so that you are not compromising on any of these controls. You're keeping all the PII data as well as the DPDP point of view, from the sovereignty point of view, all this data remains within the country. So what is Sify's AI core from a foundation point of view? We have created a platform where you can consume fast, you can deploy fast. GPU as a service, supplemented, or let's say complemented by general purpose as well as high performance compute. A complete platform where you can consume blueprints as a service. Hybrid model of architecture and deployment across different cloud service providers and Sify, as well as if you need a dedicated private cloud to be created, we can do that with a complete management portal, which gives you visibility and penetration to all your environments. Secured services, the security services comes off the shelf from our portfolio. At the same time, we are able to create a bespoke solution for you so that it meets your business requirement, not just for today, but even for the coming future. We have seen the ROI in terms of cost savings when it is on Sify, in terms of enhanced performance, the latency enhances, the data, residency and the Sovereignty Act, so that it benefits and it keeps within the sovereign control of India, and also reduces your risk in terms of any technology going obsolete. So with almost 25 plus years of banking DNA, where we have the top 5 banking customers hosted with us, we have top manufacturing companies hosted with us. As I said, hyperscalers are there. We have the OTT and social media service providers hosted with us. We have seen enough and understand, and that learning is something which we share with our customers on a day-to-day basis, how it can really support for today as well as for tomorrow. So with that, really thanks for sparing this time and being patient in understanding how we can really be together in your journey. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you, Vaibhav. That was really interesting. I want to mention, you mentioned about organization use, what is their current cloud environment. Let's have a quick poll on that and see where our attendee and their organization, at which stage they are. So Sukrita, I would request you to, yes. So there are 2 questions. So okay, they'll come after that. I would request all the attendees to please post their vote here. What best describes your organization's current cloud environment? Entirely on private cloud, primarily public cloud, hybrid cloud, multi-cloud, on-premises, not yet on cloud. I would request all the attendees to please post their votes so we can get more clear understanding.
Well, I would love to make some predictions, but I want to really see
Please.
the votes coming in.
But what's your prediction? What is going to get?
My prediction is maybe around 50 to 60% should be hybrid cloud is my view.
All right.
And multi-cloud maybe around 20 to 25%. On-premise, not yet on cloud. On-premise could be, let's say, 10%. Let's see what my prediction.
Let's see. All right, Sukrita, can we have the answer for this? Yes, here we go. All right, so 42% hybrid cloud. Okay, that is pretty interesting.
Mhm.
And
Multi-cloud is
almost, yes,
19%. On-premise is 17%. Okay, I think entirely on private cloud is 10%,
yes,
and primarily public cloud.
interesting points for sure. Points to be noted. Even I'm noting it down right now because I have one more follow-up question, but that will come to it once our panel starts. Um, So, all right, let's move on to our panel. Moving on, this upcoming session will discuss how enterprises can design hybrid and multi-cloud strategies, leverage GPU as a service, integrate FinOps, and strengthen governance, all while preparing for the next wave of innovation through agentic AI. Our panel will bring together real-world insights, practical strategies, and use cases to explore what it takes to build an AI-ready cloud infrastructure. The conversation will unpack how intelligent cloud architecture is driving flexibility, cost efficiency, and operational readiness in the AI first era. Joining me today is a fantastic line of speakers who bring deep expertise across AI, cloud governance, and enterprise transformation in the BFSI sector. Please join me to welcome Prakash Kumar Ranjan, CISO and DPO at Samman Capital Limited. Shankaralingam T, SVP and Head of Engineering at Plum. Debashish Roy, VP IT Projects and IT Procurement at Northern Trust. And Sanjay Jaiswal, CISO at Nuvama Wealth Investment Limited. And joining them are Pramod and Weber, who are with us here. Let me open up this conversation about, most of. Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Debash, for being here. Let me open up with, most organizations are still defining their AI strategy. What's the first step enterprise should take when building a AI solution that balance freedom, efficiency, and compliance? Do we have any panel member want to take a stab on it? Maybe in my screen, it's Debashish at the left corner. Would you want to take a stab at this question?
First, we have to ask us, hi all. So this is my personal view based on the experience and not the company that I'm representing. So based on the experiences that we have, based on the need of what we need, basically, is what first we have to evaluate whether do we really need cloud or its on-prem is working fine. Again, it is also driven by the regulations that we are bound to. Let's say BFSI and particularly pharma industry is more regulated than any other industry. So that also brings there. Then what is one thing aspect? Second that you have to look into is buying from the key stakeholders because ultimately the board has to agree and you have to involve them in while the decision is being made. So in the planning stage itself, you have to involve them because it should not happen at a later stage. You get surprises and all your efforts get vain. So purely from a project standpoint, that's one thing. Then you have to choose the right set of vendors. Now, when I say right set of vendors, there are a lot of qualities that we look. One is the vendor should be, I mean, reputable. Again, at the same time, if they are too large, maybe during the implementation, you might be facing bureaucracies and a lot of approvals, internal approvals, and other things like for the change requests. Because I was in the old project team, those things happens a lot. At the same time, if you choose too young, then maybe they are very nimble, but maybe the strategies that you've implemented after 4 or 5 years, that vendor either might be acquired by somebody or might not be existing. So we have to choose the right set of vendors with right set of quality, and the sync should be there in the mindset and the planning. And you have to also involve the vendor as a partner in what you're trying to achieve in terms of your outcome. So because your primary outcome is the business or business objective through which your organization is earning money, right? So cloud is one of the way to enable it more better. So just merely moving into migration to cloud is not what serves anything. So that is one that we have to look into. Yeah, that's primarily my take. Finalize it, involve the vendors, involve the stakeholders, keep the communication open and clear so that everybody knows what is required and what is the take and what is the accountability, and and responsibility, and yeah, then also future ahead. So how things are. So to give an example, maybe GPU service versus on-prem cloud like infrastructure. So which one to select? You have to first decide it among the board and then opt for the vendors accordingly.
Right, choosing the right vendor and having clear communication, very important points, Debashish. Prakash, apart from this, what do you see at your organization? Yeah.
So not at my organization.
Yeah.
Whatever I'm saying is, basis my experience, not on the behalf of the company. So see, when we see cloud journey, first of all, why cloud came into existence is the basic question that we should first see. Whether it is a race that we should move into clouds or it is our business requirement. If it is a business requirement, then everything will fall in place. Otherwise, you will have to fit in something to make justification of your decision. So if you want to make your system agile, you want to move things faster, and if you are into data center, it's not that you can't do. It's that suppose tomorrow if you want 10 VMs, you need to have relevant hardware in place, physical servers in place. But if you want 10 VMs for a specific 1 month, marketing campaign and all, you don't need to purchase it. That's what cloud provider plays the value. So you need to see whether you bring a business proposition or not, whether it is aligned to your requirement or not, and then you have to take a decision that we should move to cloud. Now, once you move to cloud, it does not mean that it's a presumption that is given that security is being taken care. So we need to also understand what is security in the cloud by the cloud. So there is a RACI matrix which says about shared responsibility matrix. When you move to cloud, you need to see what is the thing that the platform owner is going to provide or service provider is going to bring, and what is the services or security you need to take care. Now, within the application, none of the service provider will take care of the security of your application or the data residing within it. So you need to make sure that the design principles are intact, the guardrails are put so that you don't face any security challenges later on this stage.
Sure. Shankar, I'll come to you. Thank you. Thank you for joining us, Shankar Lingam. What's your opinion about here, if I may?
Yes. So yeah, pretty much like most of the companies has been 100% on the cloud, and but I also kind of work with multiple partners who has a hybrid model also, right? I think there are like some companies like which kind of very particular about like securing their data. They are very comfortable about like moving the compute to the cloud while they want to kind of have a data in on premises, right? And they have some hybrid models like this where they want to kind of obviously ensure that their applications are up and running all the time, so that there is auto scaling and everything is enabled, and infinite compute is available in the cloud, while they believe that okay, data is what they want to kind of have a maximum security, and they believe that okay, the on premises has enough of security guardrails that has been put in compared to what it was in cloud, right? It's all about their comfort and how they have been working all along, right? As somebody has said, like I think Prakash is somebody that moving to cloud doesn't guarantee you any security as such, right? Obviously, like whether it's AWS or Azure or like GCP, provides certain cloud security, but it doesn't provide any application security, right? And that is something which you need to kind of develop from day one. And if you have been a traditional on-prem application developers, you will not be able to kind of get that from a day one, right? I think how you're going to kind of guardrail your APIs, security, throttling, all those measures you should put in your applications before you kind of think of moving to cloud. I think if all the guardrails are taken care properly, I think moving to cloud is would be a preferred option according to me.
Yeah. Prabhu, I want to come back to you here. I mean, what's your opinion hearing Debashish, Shankar, and Prakash from their point of view? What do you have to say about it?
I think everybody touched upon very crucial element. One thing I think Prakash mentioned about, the decision to move on cloud is business driven, right? When you think from a business point of view, obviously it is not about moving on to cloud as only as an intent. Is it business driven, outcome driven? The second point, which even Shankar mentioned, is about the security and controls, right? So your guardrails. So when you start thinking about migrating, or when you start thinking of deploying, it could be a fresh deployment or could be a migration. Security comes in the first place. Why? Because your data is important. When your data is important, how are you trying to stitch things? Now, where do you want to move is a decision which is a basis on. And again, one more thing: the guardrails are not just about the security, but also on the cost. When you're putting the FinOps on top of it, the intent is to secure and to see that you do not just scale up to infinity. While the resources are available, you have to put certain guardrails, which is from the CFO's lens as well.
Right. Right. We have one more panel member, and I want to get his point of view also before we move on. Sanjay, are you with us? Can you hear us?
Yes, yes, yes,
Yes.
Pradeep.
Can we hear your point of view? What's the first step enterprise should take when building an AI solution that balance all freedom, efficiency, and compliance?
So, being a social, like I will be mostly talking from the security perspective. Okay, so the first step is like to check from the compliance perspective. Okay, so like what are the compliances we have, and we should cover the data privacy as well. Considering like whatever the informations we have, the sensitive informations we are processing, and the most important is the access control.
Right.
So whenever like someone from my technology team asks for it, like we have to embed an AI into my cloud, then this is the most important three things I ask them to connect is the security point of view from the encryption of the data, then encryption of the data, then you can say about data classification, the most important one, and the access control, who all are going to be accessed, because do not want any risky people or risky person to be part of that group who can like impact the whole system. And third one most is important is the from the compliance, that compliance has to be start from the day one. We should not be wait that completing the project or completing, if even if they are doing some POCs or anything, we should wait for the POC to be completed, and then because it's a business and the technology, as soon as we complete the POC, of course there will be a pressurized that POC has been completed, now we have to go for the production. It is POC has been successful, then we have to go for a production. So that is what my say is that to be always compliance has to be triggered from the day one instead of waiting for the completion, and then we will think on how we will embed it.
Right. Pramod, I want to come back to you. We heard of various types of answers from our members, but I want to, move this conversation ahead and ask you about, from an AI development standpoint, what challenges do you see when moving from pilots to full-scale deployments, on hybrid or multi-cloud environments?
Yeah. I think interesting question. Pilots, pilots are usually in a controlled environment, specifically on AI pilot, right? Controlled environment with limited GPUs being hosted, and data sets are clear, accessible, right? And then you don't worry too much about security and governance and cost and performance optimization and all of that, right? But there are a lot of challenges that that a production environment will present. Not very different to how a typical workload today is done, right? But AI has its own nuances. So I would, and then it also depends on which vertical customer is coming from. Depending on the use case, there could be there could be requirements where a GPU needs to be hosted on-prem or on the edge or on cloud, on a private cloud. And we saw the poll also mention that majority is on hybrid cloud, and it's going to be the case even for the AI workloads. You will continue to use cloud resources. There will be a need for on-prem, edge, and all of that, right? So that presents a unique challenge of environment fragmentation, right? So how do you manage workloads across all of this? What's your API strategy? And how do you have a unified management and governance across all of this, right? And then there is another challenge with data. So data has gravity, right? It tends to stay where it's created. Now, for AI to be successful, which data is a fuel for AI to be successful, you need access to data. So I think we need a new way of looking at data, I don't think it's practical to get all the data into a centralized location. There's cost involved. There is sovereign problems. There's no data locality, residency problems. So you can't do that. So there's a new data strategy that needs to evolve, right? Where you don't have those silos, you don't have latency to access data. Right, and then there is security and compliance. You need to have full visibility into what that data, who's accessing, like Sanjay just said, right? Access controls, and a lot of people alluded to that fact that that's also when an AI application goes into production, you need to have complete visibility. There should be on where the data is accessed, whether you need to have full observability and monitoring of the models to make sure that there's PII data not getting leaked. There's no model poisoning, there's no drift, there is no data drift, model drift, all of those, right? So and then there is performance optimization. You can throw the best of the best GPUs. There's a Blackwell coming and I can run all my workloads, but then there's a cost angle, right? So there's cost governance comes into picture. And then, for performance optimization, you need to look at what GPUs you need, what runtimes, what libraries. For training, you want to make sure that there are no idle resources, so on and so forth. I think these are primary challenges. And one thing I have observed is, you go to one cloud and you get tied up with that ecosystem, right? So because of this, the nuances of AI, where the inferencing has to happen on-prem, on edge, on cloud, and all of that, we need to look at making sure that the solution is vendor agnostic. There should be a uniform, Kubernetes kind of a way to manage workloads across policy as a code with IAC and all of that. So that's what I think are the challenges.
Yeah, you mentioned very key important about data strategy. Before I come to that question, Vaibhav, I'll have a question for you on data strategy. We have a poll from our previous session, which is now available. I would ask my colleague Sukrita to please pull it up. It's right here on the screen, everyone, all the attendees. So what type of workloads are you running on cloud? Core banking or core ERP, customer-facing applications, AI ML workloads, regulatory reporting systems, or not yet on cloud? Please vote, and also make sure that you post your questions on, chat box, Q&A. If you'll see an option, you can post your questions, and our SMEs will get back to you as soon as they can. Please make sure you vote here. Sukrita, do we need to give more time?
We are done. I'm stopped.
Yeah. Can we get the result? All right. So 35% of people are using for customer-facing applications like apps, portal, digital channels. Core banking, 12%. AI ML workloads, 19%. Regulatory reporting system, 16%, and 19% are not yet on cloud. Well, this really, frames my next question actually to Vaibhav. Like Pramod mentioned about, data strategies. AI is only as strong as the data behind it. How should enterprise prioritize data modernization before scaling AI on the cloud?
Very important. I think for any AI outcomes to be successful, you should really have your strong data in place. And there are disparate sources of data. So I think the most important aspect and angle is how curated and how good is your data. That's point number one. Because you have multiple sources coming in. Okay, just to give a background, I was talking to one of the customers. He said, one of our source data is going to be also from live streaming of data. Right. So apart from the structured data, there's a lot of unstructured data that is going to come through.
Yeah.
So before we plug into anything for our AI use cases, the data that we get, okay, how are we curating the data so that it doesn't become a garbage in, garbage out kind of experience? So it's very important from a strategy, from a data strategy, which is aligning to your AI strategy. How do you curate your data, keeping in mind what are your goals that you want to have as an outcome?
Perfect. Moving on, Shankar Lingam, I want to come back to you and to talk about, hybrid and multi-cloud models becoming the default. What architectural elements do enterprises need to prioritize for faster time to value when running an AI workload?
Yeah, I think there are a couple of things. I think based on my experience, like when you are stuck to some cloud, whether it's AWS or like GCP, like you tend to kind of use a lot of cloud specific resources and stuff like in your application developments and overall deployments, right? Or systems. I think first thing I would say, like make your applications completely cloud agnostic. I think that's very, very important, so that your movement from one cloud to kind of another cloud, or even like having a multi-cloud strategy could be much easier, right? And you can even keep on like moving the workloads based on the cost and other factors, if it is completely a cloud agnostics. Other thing is like standardize your kind of a data access. I think particularly in the AI use case, like you will be accessing huge amount of data for training your models and stuff. Like I think it's very important. I think both, I assume that most of this data is going to be in your data lake or like or a data warehouse, and how you're going to build your data lake and data warehouse is also very, very critical, and also kind of how you're going to provide that access is also kind of comes as very critical. I think I want to kind of spend some time to kind of really each one of the enterprises to kind of plan for it, right? And also like standardize your API success also. That's very important. I think all your services should be like standardized APIs, and not through I seen that, okay, sometimes the services just access the other services databases directly, right? Which kind of the breaks its domain data segregations and stuff. Like I think that's something we need to kind of re-architect. And also like strong governance, I think this is also very important. I think since it's going to be in a multi-cloud, I think, to be honest, like moving from one cloud to another cloud in a long term doesn't save you much. More or less, like all these clouds will cost you similar at some point, right? Obviously they will give you great credits like in the beginning, but over a period of time you realize that all clouds comes to be the same thing, right? I think it's very important to kind of have this governance to kind of closely track on the cost. Particularly the GPU usage is we should be like extra careful about, right? I think the overall strategy should be like how quickly we can develop, deploy, or modify. I think that's a strategy on which we need to kind of plan for it, and in that applications and the data is something which we need to kind of focus along with the governance model.
Right. Before I go to the next poll question, which we have, there is a question on the chat box from Mr. Sanjeev Sethi. He wants to know the views of your panel on cost and technology life cycles in the GPU space from a cloud versus other options such as on-prem. Anyone want to take up this question? Mr. Sethi wants to know his views of the panel on cost and technology life cycles in the GPU space from a cloud versus other options such as on-prem. Vaibhav or Pramod, anyone would like to?
Yeah,
Yeah, Pramod.
I just want to add, quickly here that while cost definitely is a big factor, right? It also depends on what is that you are seeking to do. If you are looking to train models, then the infrastructure required on-prem is going to be really, really huge because of the east-west traffic, the switching fabric, all of those. And then there's also the technology is changing so rapidly that keeping up with the innovation is going to be really tough, right? So if you want to have access to the latest and the greatest of GPUs, the fastest of the storage and that scale rapid scale, then I think cloud makes sense. But having said that, on-prem does have its own advantages, right? So if you have a deterministic workload, if you have compulsion of data residency or localization or sovereignty, and then if you want total control, then on-prem specifically for inference workloads, does make sense. So just 2 cents, but I think we'll have to dig deeper into what kind of a workloads, what is the plan, how do you want to scale. Those are some of the factors that will matter.
Right. Sanjeev actually has a follow-up question. He asks, AI cybersecurity risk becoming a major concern, sophisticated phishing attacks, creating deep fakes, or even developing new forms of malware. Need to understand, your point of view, panel members. Anyone else, maybe from our, panel members? Vaibhav, you want to take a stab at it?
Yeah, sure. So I think one of the important aspect from a security angle, when you're looking at the multiple elements, okay, you also need to understand what is the current lay of the land. How are you planning to expand? What are the areas of security controls that you have currently deployed? Okay, and what is that you really want to and when you're expanding, what are the probable areas of threats which is going to have an impact on your business? Okay, now when you look at the AI-based solutions which are currently available, okay, which are able to simulate certain things and able to anticipate and predict and give you probable options as a kind of a solution. I think those are the areas where AI is really going to be helpful. But I think overall, from an architecture assessment is also equally important.
All right, we're running very short of time, but I have a quick question from Vivek Daria for Vaibhav and Pramod on does Sify offer AI-powered security analytics to detect and respond to threats?
Pramod, over to you. Yeah.
Yes, right. So I think it's become de facto, right? Security without AI. I think every vendor that we've deployed, has an AI flavor, and so I think it's going to be irrespective of whether it's an AI workload or any other workload. AI-powered security analysis, and to manage your threats and all is something that is available with most cloud service providers. I would say, and Sify is no different. We do offer all of those services. Happy to connect and dive deeper into your requirements, Vivek.
Thank you, Pramod. Sukrita, quickly, can we have follow-up questions, poll questions on the screen, please? And let's have just 10 seconds, maybe. I would request all the attendees to please vote it quickly. First question is, where are you currently hosting your AI ML workloads? On-premise infrastructure, hyperscaler, local cloud service providers offering GPU as a service, not running AI ML workloads yet. Second question is, what matters most to you when choosing a cloud partner for BFSI workload? Proven compliance with BFSI regulation, AI-ready infrastructure, interoperability with multiple cloud providers, strong managed services and governance, local data center presence, and low latency connectivity. To look into third question, please scroll down and you will see the third question. Are you planning to migrate or expand AI general workloads to hybrid multi-cloud in the next 12 months? Yes, actively exploring. Yes, planned within 12 months. No plans currently, already operating in hybrid multi-cloud. There are 3 questions. Please scroll down and you will see the third question. We just want you to vote quickly so that we can move on with our conversation. Sukrita, do we have enough votes already?
Yes, we'll start this.
Yeah, please. Can we get the answer? All right, for the first question, is 37% are hosting their ML workload in on-premise infrastructure and 34% on hyperscaler. Interesting. So second, choosing a cloud partner for BFSI workload, proven compliance with BFSI regulation, of course. Any thoughts on these answers, Vaibhav?
I'm just trying to, be the first one. Okay, where are your current hosting AIML on-prem infrastructure? I mean, which means there's a good amount of investments already gone in the AI infrastructure. Second, certainly hyperscalers, which is a by de facto local cloud service provider. I think that is where I was hoping the local cloud service provider could also be a good amount of percentage, because when you look at the data sovereignty, it is not just about data residency, but sovereignty. I think these are two different elements. And from that angle, I was looking at a higher percentage. But I think that means a huge potential. At the same time, right messaging has to go through.
Absolutely, and that's where my next question was coming, to you, Weber. How do you, GPU as a service offerings change the equation for enterprise experimenting with generative AI and real-time analytics? I would want you to dwell more on that with that answer.
Sure. So, see what we have done, and what we intend to do is I mean, as Pramod said, data is gravity. So it has to be in place where it is got generated. Second, it has to become intelligent, right? So when you're doing that, you need to have a service where it is able to help you both for the model training as well as to put into production. So be it for inferencing or for model training. For inferencing, we can go ahead with a lighter GPUs like L4 or let's say L40S, right? However, for model training, you can have something which are higher GPUs, H100s or the H200s, right? So and with this, when you need to have a player, a service provider, I mean, like Sify, who is completely controlled by the sovereign laws of this country. That's one. Your data completely resides here in the country. Third element is the entire technology solution offering that we have, okay, along with the blueprints. So it's not just about, we're not just trying to play on the core infrastructure, but on the platform side, where we are building these blueprints which are easy for you to consume and take it to your market so that your GTM go to markets is much more faster.
Right. Weber, I have a question for you from Sanjeev. What's the difference between sovereignty and localization?
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. See, okay. So localization means your data, for example, a sovereign or let's say a service provider, okay? Well, let's say any of the hyperscalers you have hosted, your data is currently being present and available within India. But for sovereignty, okay, are these service providers being governed by the Indian laws as well as by the global players? For example, any of the hyperscalers are child company to a global MNC. So for any federal government makes any mandate for them to impose on certain actions, there is no chance for them to say no. Whereas somebody like Sify, whose sovereignty is India, we are governed by the laws of Indian policies. So for no matter what, the data will never be taken out of this sovereign boundaries. So that's the difference between localization and sovereignty.
Right. So Sanjay, I want to come to you. Like Prakash had earlier mentioned, how data sensitivity and compliance become critical. What guardrails should CISO and data protection leaders put in place to maintain the trust? What's your point of view here, Sanjay?
Okay, thanks, Pajit. So, Pajit, when AI and the clouds come together, basically the key is the trust. Okay, what I mean to say, like putting a proper guardrail in place, uh, uh, which will around data is handled. Okay, so as I said earlier, even in my like when you have asked me the first question, so I says that like it has to be start with the classifications. Okay, like data classifications. Then how you can secure your sensitive data. So encryption is the common, but even nowadays, like even you can breach the encryptions as well. So is there any other possibility of having a blockchain technology to be used, or maybe you can use kind of like a any other like high level of algorithms, not actually an encryption, but kind of like an algorithms, or maybe a tokenization. that might be the much proper way for data protection. Because if you will see, we are having on our DPDP Act as well, and when we are using an AI, is kind of like a we never know like what kind of like a sensitive information is getting keyed. Okay, so that will be the first point. Second point will be applying the zero trust. Okay, so being an AI, I will say never trust anyone. So it should be kind of like a zero trust, what role of access, and it is not kind of like a one-time access has been provided and that's it, like we are into the zero trust. It has to be keep on checking on the regular basis as well. Okay, and the finally, as I said, like from the compliance perspective, irrespective of your industry, if it is in BFSI, banking, what is an RBI mandate, so there is no specific guidelines has been provided by the regulators, if you will see. So what they simply say is that you have to put up a best practices into your organization to protect the information and your systems. So whenever they comes up and they will just check what are the best practices you have been deployed, and how it is has been getting implemented and executed. So that is what you have to showcase. So irrespective at any point of time, is there any exceptions or any vulnerability identified which for which risk acceptance has been taken, it will be kind of like a key challenges from the compliance as well as from the security point of view.
Right. Prakash, anything you want to add to Sanjay quickly?
Yeah. So, see, when we talk about the compliance or regulatory obligations, Sanjay already talked about the RBI guidance. So, RBI released a framework for responsible and ethical enablement for artificial intelligence. So, we all have talked about AI. Now, regulator is talking about a framework for responsible and ethical enablement of the AI. So, for a industry which is regulated, they need to have a clear-cut framework, what they are going to do, what guardrails they are going to put. No, and that will be audited by the regulators as well. So, we need to put some basic controls. We always talk about the jargons, but we should go back to the basics and say, like, what is the data classification governance that we are, putting? What is the cloud security and access control? So, we need to ensure that, encryption is in transit at rest, identity is given between the, privilege of least privileges access. And also, we need to embed data residency and sovereignty controls so that, sensitive data does not leave the geographies, because, again, it will be a non-compliance to the regulatory space if you are in a regulated industry. Vendor and third-party risk management is very important, TPRM, that is third-party risk management, because, we are totally dependent upon the partners and the vendors. So we should conduct, due diligence and security assessment of the partners who is providing us the, AI models and, anything that we get from them. We need to have a strong contextual, clauses for data retention, deletion, and breach notifications in place. And also, like, all the cloud security service provider is giving shared responsibility model. Similarly, we should have the same if you are signing any, arrangements with the partner for AI models.
Got it. Prakash, thank you. Pramod, quickly, I want to come back to you. One more question. I had a key question. Agentic AI promises, advanced orchestration and continuous innovation. What does this mean in practical terms for enterprise already investing in AI?
Yeah. So I think somebody who's already invested in AI, I think we've all seen what it can do, right? We post a question, it gives us an answer. We ask for a code, it gives us a code and so on and so forth. But in isolation, whether is it solving any of my business problems, typically, by itself it doesn't, and that is where agent comes into picture, which can reason and plan, reason and act, right? So that means agents are with minimal oversight, they can the plan, reason and act on your behalf, right? For example, let's say if I were to augment my current L1 L2 support teams, right? So I can use a diagnostic agent where whenever an issue comes, it can talk to multiple systems. It can talk to my ServiceNow. It can talk to my CMDB through tool calling. It can collaborate with other agents through standard protocols like A2A, A2P, right? And all of that, it could then, reason saying, correlate what could be the problem, and then give you a solution. And it will not stop at that, right? It will also go and remediate. It can execute scripts and remediate on your behalf. And there are umpteen examples across supply chain automation and everywhere, right? So
Right.
so that is where in practice integrating within your systems is where AI, and that is why it is exciting and everybody is hooked on to trying agentic AI.
Right. Before I move to my last question, Debashish, I want to get in touch with you. Pramod mentioned about AI agents. From your perspective, how do you see autonomous AI agents fitting into enterprise operations over the next 2, 3 years?
So definitely, the role and the involvement and the usage would be increased for the automatic AI agent. At the same time, because definitely low-hanging fruit can be easily automated using the AI agents. To give an example, let's say invoice processing, the invoice matching, etc. We don't need to AI tool can do. Similar to that, let's say preventive maintenance of AV or network items can be done. But at the same time, the for AI agent, if you're giving the access to the ports and the networks, etc., security is one aspect that you have to look into definitely, and then all second is also your third party risk assessment, wherein you don't know where you may have taken a AI agent from a vendor, which again in turn has a sublink to the sub vendors. So the entire map of who are the vendors and know your customer's customer, something like that, know your vendor's vendor, is the something that we all have to do before we basically deploy AI agents at a large scale, especially for the BFSI and the pharma industry I'm referring to.
All
But
right.
definitely things are good.
Please, please. All right. All right. Before I move to last question, there's one more quick poll for all the attendees here. Sukrita, I would request you to please quickly put it up. Yes, should be on your screen. What's your biggest challenge in scaling cloud adoption for BFSI workload? Security and compliance concerns, integration with legacy core system, rising cloud costs, data sovereignty and residency requirements, lack of skilled talent resources, unclear cloud strategy or roadmap. Can we quickly have the vote and we can move on to our last question? Do we have enough votes, Sukrita?
I see people still answering, so we'll just keep it for 20 more seconds.
All right, 20 more seconds. All right, we can have 5 more seconds. Can we get the results now? Yeah. So security and compliance concerns. All right. So only 3% are unclear about their cloud strategy or roadmap. Pramod, any takes on these answers?
Expected, I think, given the audience and given the thing, I think security and compliance concerns, and also leveraging existing legacy core, right? Integrating, that's where agentic will come into picture. I'm not surprised. I think, and I've seen this, heard this before.
All right, all right. I'll move on to our last question to all the panel members here. If you had to give one piece of advice to CIOs and CISOs preparing their infrastructure for the AI first era, what would it be? I'll start from Prakash.
Okay. So, my just advice for myself and also my fellow colleagues will be there that we need to treat AI as our core business capability and not just a technology there, because any technology that we build has to be embedded within the business, so it has to be core business capability.
Right. Shankar Lingam.
Yeah, I'll echo that point. I think I was telling this in the keynote also yesterday. I think one thing we should be extremely careful about AI is it's a pretty expensive, and we should be very clear on what is a clear business outcome we want to kind of achieve with that, and define that, and also define the cost you are ready to kind of spend for it, and measure it very closely. That's my piece of advice.
Right. Debashish?
Yeah, one is business objective driven. Second, vendor selection, and also third, the most important, know your vendor's vendor.
Right. Sanjay?
Yeah, so I will say like scale the AI with the fast pace or with the speed, but there has to be a break or to the resistance when it comes to governance.
Right. Vaibhav, do you want to take?
I'll say that select the most or identify which is the most mundane workloads or mundane job and fail fast so that you're able to identify where you fail and you're able to rectify and then make it better.
Right. And Pramod?
I think yeah, mostly covered, but for me, I think the biggest advice or what I've seen is upskilling the resources to be AI native. There was cloud native. There is everything. Right today, the resources have to be AI native. Everybody will have to use, and that means that there's a solid infrastructure architecture that needs to be set for people to experiment and play around, right?
Thank you. Thank you. So that's bring to a close for our panel here. Thank you to all our panelists for sharing their insights and experiences, and to our audience for the thoughtful engagement. This discussion highlighted that while challenges remain in adopting AI and cloud innovation securely, the opportunities are immense when strategies align with business needs and regulatory frameworks. Collaboration, adaptability, and continuous innovation will be the key as enterprise move forward. Before we close this session, we have a feedback questions. Again, a quick poll, which will help us improve, make this conversation much better. Please try and vote it quickly. If you'll scroll down, there are 3 questions. You can see all the questions here. Just 10 more seconds and we can close this, Sakrita.
Sorry, I still see some responses coming, so just
All right, it
5
can
seconds.
just
Yes.
5 seconds more. I would request all the attendees, please give your feedbacks quickly, and so we can close the session. You have it?
Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
All right, just close the, yeah, thank you. As we wrap up today's event, I would like to thank our partners, panelists, and participants for making this session a success. The conversation today have underscores the importance of building secure, agile, and future-ready infrastructure to unlock the true potential of AI and cloud. We look forward to continuing this dialogue and seeing you at our upcoming sessions. Until then, thank you and have a great day. Thank you all so much for joining me today here.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Everyone.
thanks Sify and ISMG for this event.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Debashish. Thank you, Sanjay.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. All right. Sukrita?
Just 1 minute.
Yeah. I actually never got questions from Agrima, only 1 or 2 questions she shared on the chat box.